What now for Syracuse after Maliq Brown enters the transfer portal?
You are Locked On Syracuse, your daily podcast on the Syracuse Orange, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
So Maliq Brown is in the transfer portal, and that is number 5 for Syracuse to put their name in the hat. Unbelievable how there are now a handful of Syracuse players, literally a handful, in the transfer portal. And we're going to break it all down here. Maliq Brown in the transfer portal. It's a tough one for Syracuse for sure. I'm Jackson Holzer of the Locked On Syracuse Podcast. Thank you for making us your first listen of every single day. We're free and available wherever you get your podcasts. Your team every day in the Locked On Podcast Network. Is Syracuse now a football school? Is that what we are now? Which is, by the way, being a football school is not a bad thing. It's actually pretty good. Being a football school is a good thing because ton of momentum going on with the football team. As I start recording, they get another recruit. So I believe that's now 10 for the class of 2025. And well, while everyone's joining Syracuse football, everyone is leaving Syracuse basketball. Maliq Brown entering his name into the transfer portal. Now, I will note this. He did not declare for the NBA draft, at least in his statement, right? So he's at least going to take another year. He's not even going to test the waters to see if he can be in the NBA. I know a lot of people think that Maliq Brown has NBA potential. I believe he does too, but he needs to really develop a three-point shot, at least more consistently. This is a really tough blow for the Orange next season. I talked a lot about the big man conundrum and what happens if Syracuse brings in a center in the transfer portal, which, by the way, they still have not reached out to one. You know, one of Donnie Freeman or Maliq Brown will go to the bench because you just, and that's a good thing because you can never have enough good players. Well, now a good player is leaving, and that's bad. Not good to lose good players. Last year, Maliq Brown averaged 10 points, 7 rebounds. He shot 70% from the field, and in limited three-point attempts, he shot 37% from beyond the arc. He showed that he can at least develop a three-point shot, and why he was maybe set to have a big junior season, it just won't be with Syracuse. He was also obviously a great defensive player. First team all ACC defense, and he did it playing more than half the year at center at 6'8". Remember, first out of the 32 games that Syracuse played this season, Maliq Brown did not start the first 14 of them. And then Naheem McLeod goes down with an injury. And from then on, Maliq Brown was asked to do something that he shouldn't have been asked to do, which is be the starting center. He's not a center. But he did it anyway. And he still managed to be an all-conference defender playing over half the year out of position. And on top of that, he had the most steals by any center in the history of the ACC. Just think about that for a moment. Most steals by any center in the history of the ACC. That's Maliq Brown. Maliq Brown has that. It's incredible. That's why this loss stings, obviously. It's not the end of the world, not the end of a program, and I'm kind of trying to talk myself into how everything is okay and it's all calm. It's kind of like that. It's like that meme where it's that doodle thingy and they're sitting in a burning house and they're shouting, "Everything's fine. Everything's fine." I know in this moment, though, for most of you guys, it doesn't feel fine. And we're going to get into what the roster looks like right now. And is Donnie Freeman a lock to start in day one? We're going to get all into it. But Maliq Brown entering the transfer portal, he did not declare for the NBA draft. Out of the class of 2022, which is what he came in, and it was the highly hyped Syracuse class, only 2 remain. Only 2. Judah Mintz and Chris Bell are the only ones out of that whole class. The class that was supposed to put the program back on the map, well, most of them are gone. This is a tough one. This is why I called it an instant reaction. I'm trying to cope live to you guys. I'm just trying to cope right now. I mean, Quadir Copeland entering the transfer portal was definitely tough, but thinking about it in retrospect, I mean, they can find someone to at least replace his numbers. And the guys that they're going after are all better than Copeland. Everyone else so far that had entered the transfer portal were roster fillers. So you figure at least you're going to get someone who is equally as good as those guys that you were losing and probably better based on who they've reached out to. But Maliq Brown, it doesn't feel like you can upgrade him. I don't know if you can. Well, actually, I mean, they have reached out to some guys, but you get the idea. It's just tough to envision getting better with Maliq Brown leaving. You kind of hope that you would have had him for next season. I wish Maliq Brown, by the way, nothing but the best. Again, this goes for everyone that enters the transfer portal. You're making the best decision for yourself. We might be upset that you left, but we're not upset because of the decision. We just want you to play for Syracuse. You making the decision that's best for yourself, that's your call. I respect it. I hope you find greener pastures. I hope you find a great career and you go on to the NBA and play 15 years and make millions of dollars. But I just wish that Maliq Brown was in a Syracuse uniform next season. Of course, he could still come back. That's the way the transfer portal works. You can come back. But I just don't want to speculate on that because he entered the portal. I don't think he wants to come back or will come back. So, where does the roster stand right now for Syracuse? We're going to talk all about it right after this. When you're hiring for small business, you want to find quality professionals that are right for the role. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs has the tools to help find the right professionals for your team faster and for free. And folks, this is something that I use all the time, LinkedIn, to try to find new opportunities because LinkedIn isn't just another job board. LinkedIn has a vast network of more than 1 billion professionals, which makes it the best place to hire. It gives you access to professionals you can't find anywhere else. LinkedIn does all that while making the process easy and intuitive. Hiring is easy when you have that many quality candidates. So easy, in fact, that 86% of small businesses get a qualified candidate within 24 hours. LinkedIn knows that small businesses are wearing so many hats and might not have the time or resources to hire. LinkedIn is constantly finding ways to make the process easier. They even just launched a feature that helps you write job descriptions, making the process even easier and quicker. 2.5 million small businesses use LinkedIn for hiring. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day? Have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Make the switch to Locked On Sports Today, a free 24/7 sports streaming channel programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the streaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't-miss analysis, opinions, and news, streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. All right, Maliq Brown in the transfer portal for Syracuse. It's a tough pill to swallow. I'm Jackson Holzer here on Locked On Syracuse for breaking it all down here. Your team every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. And my goodness, just for my instant reaction, it's obviously not fun that Maliq Brown is in the transfer portal. I wish he was staying. But what does Syracuse's roster look like now? Kind of feels like where's Waldo out here? I'm like kind of searching. Who's who? I don't know, right? Well, right now, they have 5 players currently in the transfer portal. Maliq Brown, Quadir Copeland, Benny Williams, Justin Taylor, and Peter Carey. That's 5. 5 of them, a handful. Man. But of those 5, I would say that Maliq Brown's obviously the best. Quadir Copeland is obviously a very tough loss too. The other 3, roster replacement. It's kind of like wins above replacement in baseball, everyone's favorite stat war. Well, some of those guys, they're roster fillers. They also got 2 freshmen coming in, right? We know that. Elijah Moore and Donnie Freeman, 5-star Donnie Freeman, playing in Chipotle Nationals this week. Donnie Freeman recently dropped a bajillion points in a high school game. We're excited for those guys, obviously. And could Donnie Freeman be starting day 1? Well, I'll be answering that question soon. With all that being said, and all those names I threw out there, Syracuse has 4 open scholarships available. 4 of them. So while it's a lot of players in the transfer portal, I would say that there is still room to improve, obviously. They can still easily improve the roster, even though they're losing 5 players. The reason why I say that is because most of the guys that they've reached out to in the transfer portal so far, while they still have not reached out to a big man, they're all relatively highly rated in the On3 rankings right now. We're going to get to 2 of them when I'm talking about Donnie Freeman here. But my guess is that the 4 guys that they're going to bring in the transfer portal right now are going to combine to have an average rating that is higher than the 5 guys that they're going to lose. Let me repeat that. The 4 guys that they bring in will probably be better on average than the 5 guys that they're going to lose. That is why, while it sucks that Maliq Brown is in the transfer portal and that Quadir Copeland is tough to replace due to him being kind of the heart and soul of last year, there's still room for significant improvement due to 3 of those guys, in my opinion, basically being roster fillers. I know that might be harsh to say, but it's kind of true. It's kind of true. However, if you look at Syracuse's roster right now, you'll notice one gaping hole, and that is also not just center, the forwards. The forwards on the roster right now are Chris Bell and Donnie Freeman. That's it. They got 2 forwards on the roster. That's it. So obviously now, the Orange are in desperate need of a forward. The good news is they've already been in contact with some of the better forwards right now in the transfer portal. I wouldn't say, or one of them, I'm going to get to him, I promise you, is really, really good. And the other one, well, he's okay. But still, 2 4-star forwards that they have definitely reached out to. Once again, Maliq Brown in the transfer portal. Syracuse's roster right now, they have 4 open scholarships available. They have 5 players currently in the transfer portal. Of those guys, I would say 2 of them were very impactful players in Maliq Brown and Quadir Copeland. Benny Williams was occasionally impactful, but very inconsistent. And Peter Carey and Justin Taylor were not super impactful and can definitely be improved upon in the transfer portal. But there are only 2 forwards on the roster, so let's do it. Is Donnie Freeman a lock to start day 1 for Syracuse next season? Passion, drive, and patience, the formula for winning championships, is also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has got you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number 1 ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only, exclusions apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit, only available to U.S. customers. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube, and now it's also available on Amazon Fire TV in the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today is here for you 24/7, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On Plus, our national shows covering every league. Find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. I'm Jackson Holzer here on Locked On Syracuse, breaking down Maliq Brown transferring out of Syracuse. He is in the portal. The Orange now have a handful of players in the transfer portal. While everyone is coming to Syracuse football, 10 recruits already in the class of 2025, another one, a top-ranked one in the class of 2026. Everyone is leaving Syracuse basketball. Which maybe I guess Syracuse basketball is, second tier now to football. Not yet. But anyways, is Donnie Freeman a lock to start day 1? Was the writing on the wall for Maliq Brown? Is that why he's transferring? Well, this is a lot of speculation. But here's what we do know. Donnie Freeman is a 5-star power forward, which is what Maliq Brown is. And on top of that, Donnie Freeman has also said that he has a little bit of a shot to him. So maybe Donnie Freeman is better than Maliq Brown for next season. Maybe. We don't really know until, obviously, he sets foot on a college basketball court. But he's been a standout so far, with the Chipotle Nationals. So who knows? Maybe he's better. Maybe the writing was on the wall in that regard. But I find it really odd that Syracuse has not yet reached out to a center. And the reason why I say that is because Maliq Brown might have just been asked to play center again. What was he going to do? Say no? Not want to be a starter at guaranteed at least? Maybe that's the case. That's why I'm not necessarily sure. But anyway, Donnie Freeman starting day 1. As of now, definitely yes. But I don't think it's a lock just yet. And the reason for that is because Syracuse has reached out to 2 power forwards in the class so far that are both pretty good. Mikhail Brown-Jones is the best one. He's a senior from UNC Greensboro. I know it's UNC Greensboro, but he was all Southern Conference. He's 6'8". He is a 4-star transfer and a top 20 overall transfer in the class right now. Mikhail Brown-Jones, I would think, is probably going to be ranked higher than when Maliq Brown's ranking comes in. Okay? This is a guy who averaged last year. I get it. Not the greatest conference in the world. He's at UNC Greensboro. But he averaged 19 and 8 on 54% shooting. And he was 43% from 3. Folks, I think we would take Maliq Brown-Jones over Maliq Brown. I would, for sure. If this is what Syracuse has up its sleeve, yes, please do. Because Maliq Brown-Jones, gentlemen and ladies and gentlemen, is an upgrade over Maliq Brown. There, I said it. Maliq Brown-Jones is better than Maliq Brown. I want him. Now, he only has another year of eligibility, and that's it. But I want him for sure. Syracuse has reached out to him. He's the number 18 overall player in the entire transfer class. The other one that Syracuse has reached out to is a little bit lower ranked. He is still a 4-star overall. That's Farrell Payne. He's a sophomore from Minnesota. He is 6'9". He is the number 101 overall player as of this recording in the On3 transfer rankings. Last year at Minnesota, he averaged 10 points and 6 rebounds on 60% shooting. He's an ultra-athletic player. Ultra-athletic. But he's got a couple weaknesses. Number one, he can't stretch the floor. Okay? You're not getting Farrell Payne to shoot 3-pointers. I promise you that. And number two, I don't really know if you can play Farrell Payne in late game situations because he can't hit free throws. He can't hit free throws. He is below 50% from the free throw line. 50%. Guys, I mean, what would you consider the Mendoza line of free throw shooting? To me, it's probably like 60%. Right? If you're like below 60%, you're a really bad free throw shooter. But if you're above 60%, obviously it's kind of dependent on the position you play. But 60% to me is kind of like the Mendoza line. Regardless of where you have it, he's below it because he's below 50%. He can't shoot free throws. So you can't necessarily have him in late game situations. Farrell Payne would be a nice consolation prize, but I would not consider him better than Maliq Brown. I wouldn't. He's not an all-conference defender like Maliq Brown was. He can get you 10 points and 6 rebounds, but that's what Maliq Brown did. And Maliq Brown is a more efficient scorer and in limited attempts showed that he might be able to develop a 3-point shot. Farrell Payne has not. Okay? But it's not the end of the world if you factor in everyone that Syracuse could possibly get in the transfer portal and who they've reached out to so far. Remember, it's not about necessarily replacing one for one. They have 4 open scholarships available, 5 players that transferred. You just need the average of the 4 players that are coming in to be better than the 5 players that are leaving. And I think you have a prime opportunity when 3 of those guys were not very impactful for them last year. You can still get 4 impactful players. It's kind of like Moneyball. Folks, we're playing Moneyball here. Billy, this is Farrell Payne. He's a power forward. He can be one of the most athletic players on Syracuse's roster next season. His defect is he can't shoot. You know what? If you take another 3 guys who might be able to shoot, who cares that Farrell Payne can't shoot? Right? What if you got Maliq Brown-Jones and Farrell Payne? Seriously. And if you want to equate it to apples and apples, would you rather Maliq Brown-Jones and Farrell Payne or Maliq Brown and Benny Williams? I would take the former. I would take the former. So I don't think necessarily it's a lock that Donnie Freeman is starting day one. I don't think it's a lock that he would start day one. It's possible for sure, and maybe that's why Maliq Brown is ultimately transferring. But with the 2 guys that so far they have reached out to, at least these 2 that are forwards, maybe he's not. Maybe they still plan on having him as a 6th man, and Brown is leaving for different reasons. Perhaps it's NIL related. I'd imagine there's some sort of money component to it. It's just one of those things that kind of sucks. He's ultimately gone. They're going to have to replace him somehow. In the aggregate, play a little bit of money ball, try to get 4 guys that are better than the 5 guys that they are losing. They have 2 coming in from high school that are supposed to be really good, but we won't know until they actually hit the floor. Man, I just hope Donnie Freeman's good, because I hope he's good. I don't think it's a lock, though, that he starts day 1. Maybe he will. But anyways, Maliq Brown is in the transfer portal. We wish him nothing but the best here on Locked On Syracuse. I'm Jackson Holzer. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of updates throughout the offseason still. Seems like every single day there's a new rumor coming out, and occasionally we get the concrete news like we just did. Now, tomorrow we do have an exclusive interview with a coach. Not going to say who he coaches, but it is with a coach. Trying to line up some more guests here in the coming weeks. That's one of my goals for the channel, is to get more guests. But anyways, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. If you like this video, click that like button. If you really liked it, subscribe to the channel and turn on those notifications so you know right away when I'm dropping the next podcast. Everyone, just stay calm. It's going to be okay. For now, let's just all take a little bit of a deep breath. It sucks. Life goes on.